Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again today for another card making video. Today it's the Project Share Project blog hop. So first Saturday of the month, so here we go, ready for 2026 with our first hop of the year, and our theme is anything but flowers. So all sorts of things came across my desk in preparing for this one, but I eventually decided that I would stick with nature but go with some trees, and I picked out this lovely image from the Peaceful Pier stamp set to create this little scene we've got here. Okay, I've used the perennial postage to cut that out, and I'll be making another custom frame with the gallery blooms, and the sentiments also from Peaceful Pier. I'm using this set of dies called Words of Beauty, and there's this lovely little teeny tiny die that's great for these smaller sentiments. Could use a stylish shape that's a similar size and cut it down, but I thought I'd use these ones today. Okay, so here we go with our card. Okay, so we've got a basic beige frame here. I've got some of this twine left over from the ornate Christmas or modern Christmas suite, I would say. Okay, and the rest of it is just white, and I've used Stampin' blends to colour that image. It's kind of a bit rustic, so you just need to sort of give the impression that it's coloured. Okay, so it's got shaded spruce, some granny apple green, a bit of old olive, and some pecan pie in there, just to give us this nice coloured image. All right, so let's make the card we're going to do today. Okay, so I've already got a few bits and pieces hanging about. So if we do our stamping, I don't need to do that. I'll need a piece of scrap first. Yep, I've got it. I'm just going to use this piece of scrap. As you can see, this is the bit that I used to cut this originally. So we'll just take off that excess so it's not in the way. And don't mind that blue there, that's all right, that's fine. That can just stay there. So I'm just going to use this scrap of paper to stamp this tree image, and we're just going to use the Memento ink. So Memento is a water-based ink, so that's going to be safe to use with the alcohol markers. I've got a little scrap somewhere. There we are, there's the scrap. Now I've just realised I've got a touch of ink on the edge of that as I was distracted, so I'm just going to make sure that edge is clear, and we'll pop this down somewhere in the middle of this piece of paper. This is just white willow. If you're going to do any serious colouring, I would say use basic white. It's thicker and is better for serious stamping blends and colouring. But for just what we're going to do today, this is going to be perfect. And then on this little tiny scrap, which I've got ink on, we're going to pop the sentiments on. Okay, so let's just get that right up, and I know that I've got to aim a little bit low to make sure it's sort of in the middle, which will give me space to die cut. So I'm going to pop it about there. Lovely, okie dokie. That's nice and straight. So we'll be able to do both the die cutting elements together when we're ready. So I'm just going to take just a teeny bit of tape and position this so that it's ready to go. Just about fits in there. It's nice. It's a really tiny sentiment, but it's quite nice to have something less bold sometimes. So that's ready to go. I'm going to pop it on the cutting plate, ready to go, and we'll just add some colour to this image. I feel like I'm too far away. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. Right, I'll grab some markers. So I think I'll stick with the pecan pie for the the stem of these trees. So it's a stem. That would be a trunk of the tree. Okay. So again, you don't need to be fussy with this. You just need a hint of this here and there. I'm just going to pop a little bit over the little rocks that are at the bottom of the image as well. Okay. Now I used shaded spruce because they were fir trees, but I might bring in some mossy meadow instead this time. Just to go over there, and I'm just sort of scribbling over the stamped image, really, just to give it that hint of colour. This is quite dark, so just sort of scribbling over that to give it that sort of look of being coloured, but without really doing too much with it. And again, I'm just going to pop a little bit of that down there. Put a bit on this bushy thing as well. So that was, what did I say that was? Mossy meadow. Yeah, I'm just grabbing them out my what's this thing called? My storage thing. Stamping storage. Right, this is Granny Apple Green. So let's pop some of that in. It's the light, and we'll do a bit of the dark as well. I'll say, you know, I'm not like making a fuss of this, just dropping the colour on. I'll just blend that a little bit because it's just got a bit of a thick line on it. And I think I might go with the lime for the this bigger tree. Much brighter colour. So again, just sort of scribbling over where those lines are to give the impression of some leaves. And we'll just add a little bit of the soft sea foam just to sort of fill in a bit of those white gaps, but just keep it light. I don't want it to be too dark, because we've got the dark trees on the other side. Okay, if it bleeds a bit, I don't mind, because I'm looking for that kind of artsy kind of look. There we go. Really easy. It's okay. So you don't need to be like daunted by a lot of this stuff. I'm just going to take a blue blending brush, and I haven't got out any more ink. I'm just using what's on there just to sort of give the impression of some sky in the background there. And I'm just going to use my brown brush in exactly the same way, just going over the bottom there, just to fill in that background just a little bit so that it doesn't feel like it's just stark white. Okay, lovely jubbly. So again, we'll die cut this with the this perennial postage die. So I'm looking to get the trunk of the tree straight and then framing it accordingly. That bank does slope off. You don't want a crooked tree, but the bank can, which is why I popped a little bit of that ink around. Okay, so we'll pop that down, and now we can die cut both of these things at the same time. Okay, I'm going to put that on at an angle. You want to feed the corners in first. It makes it a lot easier to roll straight edged dies through your machine. Okay, a bit like going over speed bumps in your car. You don't want to hit both your front wheels on there. You want to kind of gradually go over them. So I'll run that through and back again, and that will be our sentiment there. It's teeny, it's lovely. We'll sort out the dies and that in a minute. And then this is our little scene that we've got here. Now, I just want this die now, and yeah, that's fine. I'll just do it myself. It's fine. I'm going to pop the image back in, and I'm going to use a stylus tool. So I'm going to use the ball tool out of the what's that one called? The Simply Scored. Okay, so we've got the ball tool is double-ended. There's a larger one and a small one. I'm going to use the larger tool here, and I'm just going to lightly press around the edge of the die, and this is going to give it almost like a puffy, you know, like a puff sticker. It's like dimensional. Okay, so just go around that. Don't have to use a ball tool. You could use anything that's just not too sharp, that's going to potentially pierce your cardstock. So I think that maybe that's the best angle. Can you just see that raised edge now? Which just gives it that little bit of a lift. Okay, eventually it's going to be popped up on dimensionals anyway, but I just like that beveled edge we've given it just by running the tool around the outside. It just gives it a little bit of extra interest. The other thing you can do is rub ink through the die as well, so you can pop it back in and rub your ink around, and then you'll get your blended look, a bit like how a postage stamp has that border. You can sort of create that by doing that little technique there. Okay, so those are our little elements that we're going to pop on as a decorative element. So now we're going to sort of build up our frame. So I've gone ahead and I've cut one of those larger dies. Well, I say I cut it. I already had some cut. I saved them all in the back of the packet. And if I need one, I can pull it out, you see. So I had a couple of white ones. And I've got that out. I've run it through an embossing folder. Okay. It's got some texture on it, this one has. Okay, this is the Distress Brick or whatever it's called. One that we've got in the annual catalogue, and as you can see, I've just used the cut it at the corners there to make two sort of corners of a frame. And what I want to do is build up a frame that's around our little scene, you see. Okay. So I've cut this piece of cardstock. This is, let me just remind myself, I think it's 3 inches wide. Yep, by 3 3/4. Yep, 3 3/4. Which is going to sit around that quite nicely, but we're going to build up this frame around the edge. Okay, so we've got that texture there. All right. So we're going to do that. So this is the fiddly bit of this card, if you like. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of this, and matched it. I am going to use a bit of wet glue today, just because I just need a bit of wiggle room. But I'm only putting it in this corner, only in the corner, and we'll just position that to cover our base layer. Doesn't matter if it overhangs outwards and makes it a bit bigger, but you don't want to probably make it too short. Equally though, don't forget, if you wanted more of a border to make more of a statement, then, you know, size your cardstock accordingly. Okay, so that's our first corner. Okay, but we want this one to overlap here. Okay, so we're going to pop this one into place, and we're going to have to make a pencil mark where we want to be able to cut these down, so that we get, sorry, it'll be that way, to get the angle that we need. Okay, so I'm just going to grab myself a pencil and just mark where those intersections are, just lightly. Wants to go this way. Make sure you mark the right edges. So that's going to be our angle that we want to cut off, which we can do with a pair of scissors. This is where I find I can't actually see my marks. That's I've gotten to a point where I actually need to take my glasses off for things now. Oh, I can't see my marks. Oh, you can. There's one. There's the other one. So I'm just going to take that off. I'm going to cut it generously though, because we can always trim a little bit more off if necessary. So we'll cut that one, and we'll cut this one if I can see where my pencil marks are. There's one. Oh, that was silly of me, wasn't it? I think it's there. No, can't see it. I'm going to have to make that a little bit more, a little darker. It was a little. So now I've laid it down, I can see it. It's just the light here. Okay. And of course, because it's pencil, it'll just rub away if you don't quite catch the it right. Okay, so hopefully that will fit in there, and then we're going to have to do exactly the same with our edge up here, because and that's why I didn't I could just draw a line, couldn't I? And that's why I didn't glue down this end, because it will give us some wriggle room for when we pop this together. So now I can just get under that and just chop that, and again I'm going to cut it generously rather than short, because you don't want to leave a gap, and then you can always tidy it up after. So cut it a bit longer than it needs to be, and then fingers crossed all of this will fit together, and we'll be able to where's the thing on for this? There it is. Okay, so again we'll just pop some glue in the corner. Oops, that's a bit much. And position that like we did before, and that wet glue is going to give us that little bit of wriggle room to make sure we've got it in the right place, and then we'll be able to just tidy up those corners as we need to. Okay, so those are, that's a smidge tight on that one, so I'm just going to take a slither off. See, that's why I didn't want the case on, isn't it? Because I knew I was going to need to do that, right? So if you just cut it just as generously as you dare, and then you can just tidy that up. There we go, that's perfect now. Come on, do that one that way, which means I can see where I'm going. Just a hair, just to make sure that corner comes together. Yeah, that's lovely. Great. And now we can just glue that back into place and finish that off. Okay. Ooh, too much. Spread that out. Okay. Because what I want to be able to do is add some ink to this to emphasise that lovely texture that we've put on. You see? Go. Pop that down, pop that down, and there's just a little teeny tiny piece that just needs to be clipped off there. Which we can now do from the back there, just to keep that nice and tidy. And we just need to make sure those are nice and in place. so that they are ready to go. Just got some snaggly ends on the end of that. Just cut a little bit rough. So these sanding blocks, these are great for the you know, the techniques with the two-tone paper. So if you've got texture, you can rub it over and expose the white core of that cardstock, which gives you a great distressed look. But also good for just taking off those little snaggly bits. So if your trimmer blade's starting to get a little bit old, you do sometimes find that you'll get those little fluffy bits appearing. But I like to use mine as much as possible before replacing them. I think you get like 4 in a pack, if I remember rightly. And they last quite a long time. There we go. So that looks cool. I think anyway. I might even, do you know, I might bring in a bit of the pecan, which we used on the tree trunk, just to give it just a little bit more depth here and there. So just pick up a little bit of that ink. Oh yeah, look at that. It just looks like an old weathered frame. If you've still got the I'm going inside the frame as well now, just to sort of lift that a little bit. If you've still got the timber embossing folder in your stash, that would have been ideal as well, so it makes it look like a wooden frame. But I think that looks super cool. Now I've got to decide which way up I want it. Right. Decisions. Okay, see, isn't that cute? But I want to pop it up as well, so it gives it that, it sort of lifts out. Okay, it's really, really cool. Could have just, I mean, I guess what we could have done is just sort of embossed a panel and put it on, but I just don't know, just like the idea of having that frame peeking out. So that's always an option. You don't need to go to the trouble of doing all that extra step if you don't want to. So need some dimensionals. Let's use up some of the little bits on the end here. Okay, sticky scissors. So I'm going to use these bits, snip these away, and we'll pop those onto the back of this little scene we've got going on here. I'm deliberately doing it like that so that I've got room for some twine to go across the middle there. Okay, and voila. So positioning these first means that you're not going to fall into the trap of making it so that your dimensionals sit over your twine. You'll know because it's already in place. So we'll secure, I don't want it round this, I want it round the, I want it round my my panel. So I'll pop it here and wrap that round a couple of times, and we'll secure it on the back. There we go. And I want a nice length now. So see how curly this is. If you use a bone folder or use scissors or something, and run that through. It'll straighten that out a little bit. So get a length of that, and then in half. So I've got a double strand. Might need those to trim my ends, which I definitely need them to trim my ends because this is definitely longer than it needs to be. But you need the wriggle room to be able to tie your knots. So we'll just thread that underneath and tie just a knot. You could do a bow if you want to, or use any other twine that you want. Oh goodness me, doesn't want to stay in my hands. Look at that. Let's do that. Let's do that. There we go. Righty-o. So that's our frame all done, and then we can pop our picture in it. And that edge is going to peek through. Could you've used a contrast colour as well, which would have emphasised that frame as well. So that's sitting nice and flat, but you've got that pillowed sort of look because we've got the embossing tool. So that could, isn't that a cute little memento that we could you could send to someone? You can get this isn't that far off, like a passport sized photo, so you could do something similar with that if you wanted to have something you know, for a desk at work or something like that. Right, so I think this time we'll pop this bit up as well, just because we can. So let's pop some more of these dimensional pieces on here. All these little edges and corners, very useful when you're doing things like this. I'll just pop one in the middle there as well, just to make sure it's well supported. So that's those. Yeah, we've got a lot of fireworks going off right now. It's not that late. It's only barely just got dark and there's fireworks going off again. Right, we'll centre that on there, on that bright white card. Oh, it's lovely. And then we just need to add our lovely sentiments across here as well. So I don't really want to cover up too much of the colouring that we've done, but you know, I think there, so we still see the postage edge. That's nice. Okay, so I think I might just use some tape, run up. So that's my stamping seal, and just pop that there. Like so. There we go. Antique pearls. They are on my desk somewhere, I think. Or maybe they're not. No, they're not. I'm lying to you. I put them back in the drawer. How silly. Maybe I was thinking I might use alternatives, but I think I will stick with the antique pearls. Nice little trio of these to go on, just to finish this off. Where are they? And a little one up here. Just trying to aim at some of the bits that are a little flatter, so that the adhesive on the back of these can grab properly. It's a raised bit, but it's still on a level, if you know what I mean. Okay, right. This is my Anything But a Flowers card for the Project Share Project blog hop. Links to my blog are in the description, as are links to all the products I have used today. From my blog you can then go and see all the other Project Share Project participants. So we've got Vicky, Jane and Heather who joined me on these little hops. Okay, and that is my card for today. Hope you like it, and you've enjoyed the video. Do stay safe, take care, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye bye.